All right. I had explained to a friend that I would go ahead and finally get out my list of which tomato plants I'm going to plant. Today is March 16th, and I'm going to be putting tomatoes, a lot of seeds in a small tray, and then I will transplant those starts into individual pots. The other day, I got a order from Baker's Creek Seeds. This is where we normally get our tomatoes that we want to raise. We like the heirloom tomatoes better than any other variety, not because they produce the most, but because of the flavor. The flavor of the heirloom tomatoes far exceeds tomatoes that have been bred just to be commercially raised to produce a lot of fruit. We plant enough plants that we've got plenty to go around with family and friends as well as what we want to can. The favorite tomato for me is the Dr. Wychees. One of the tomatoes that I've absolutely loved this year is the Dr. Wychees yellow tomato. We got these seeds. I believe they actually may have come from Baker Creek. They are an heirloom tomato, which means that the tomatoes do not have the uniform shape that your market varieties do, but I'm absolutely amazed with their flavor. And yes, the tomatoes sometimes are a little bit oddly shaped, but the taste, if you like a yellow tomato, is so sweet. It's one of my favorites. The one tomato that my wife liked better out of any that we grew last year was the black Krim. And the black Krim has a more acidic taste. It's a little stronger tasting tomato than the Dr. Wychee. But we'll definitely be planting these plants. They're, I would say, a medium to large tomato. They did get very large. They did not crack as bad as some of the other tomatoes. Perhaps it was just the year. The other tomato that we raised that both of us liked was the Black Beauty. And our Black Beauties, the ones that were out on the vines being hit by the sun, I was amazed at how dark these tomatoes get. When they call them a Black Beauty, they certainly are. Now, we did see quite a bit of cracking on these tomatoes. Don't know if that's normal or there again if it was just the season, but we were able to cut the top part of the tomato off, and even though it's dark on the outside, the inside was a very deep red, and it also has a bit of an acidic taste. I think most of your darker tomatoes are going to have that. As you can see, our tomato plants are still blooming. They're still setting on new fruits, and the vines are hanging full. The old leaves are drying and dropping off, but that has more to do with the dryness. There seems to be no blight on these. A lot of the plants are just drying up really, really bad. The other tomato that we truly loved eating was the Sunrise Bumblebee tomato. It's a yellowish cherry type tomato with a red blush on it. And every one of our family members that we gave these tomatoes to were absolutely amazed with the flavor of this little cherry tomato. We actually canned some of these tomatoes, and I'm still cooking with them. We used the Ball canning book, and we used the recipe in there for canning tomatoes whole. The only thing is we didn't steam them. We didn't peel them. We canned them whole. And the peel is still on them. And if I add them at the last minute to some of our dishes, especially pasta dishes that call for cherry tomatoes, we're amazed that they will stay intact if we're not doing a lot of stirring. And they have a fabulous flavor. It's just as almost as good as if we'd pulled them off the vines and decided to put them in the dish. The other tomato, and it's more of a salad tomato, it's a little bit smaller, that we intend to raise a few plants of, is the green zebra. And the tomato does have green stripes in it when it gets ripe, and it looks a little bit more yellow than what the tomato on the package looked, or at least our experience with it last year. But my wife loved to take these tomatoes and just quarter them up and have them with her breakfast. She thought they were just one of the better tasting tomatoes. So we'll definitely raise them. Again, they're not a large tomato. They're more like a salad tomato, but they do have a good flavor. We're going to try 3 tomatoes this year that we've never tried raising before. We're going to try raising the True Black Brandywine, and I have no idea, but I would assume it would be a great tomato. The reviews on Baker Creek Seeds was really good for this tomato, so we're going to try it. Because we like yellow and red combination tomatoes, we're going to try the Hillbilly Potato Leaf tomato this year. And there's a lot of hype on the Mortgage Lifter, and we've never tried them, so we're going to try that. Those are the tomatoes that I plan on planting this year. We may, of course, as we always do, add a few more. Oh, there is one I do need to let you know that I am going to try, and I don't know the name of it. A friend of ours gave it to us in a seed swap and said that it was a large, meaty tomato. And when I say large, these tomatoes were probably better than a pound a piece. And they were an oak leaf tomato, which makes you think maybe it's in the Brandywine family or came from that family. But they have a very deep reddish pink color, and there's very little seed in them. The entire core of that tomato was just as solid as it could be. And then on the outside, there was like 4 or 5 little strips of seeds. And each tomato didn't produce a lot of seeds, but I did save several seeds. I hope that tomato will stay true to the seeds we saved, and I will be planting it in a special place to keep it separate from the others so it doesn't have a chance to cross. And the friend that gave us to us, Margot, she planted them either a year or so before, and she was just raving about how good they are, and I can understand why. So definitely we will be planting quite a few of those as well. What kind of tomatoes are you planning to raise this year? We'd love to hear from you. Just make some comments below, and we will definitely try to answer the comments. If you have any questions, let us know. The tomatoes that we've chosen to raise this year, we chose primarily because of flavor. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and if you've not subscribed, we ask that you do subscribe. The more subscribers we have, of course, the more we're able to do. And as always, get out there, play in the garden, enjoy yourself. Life for us is never better than when we're in the garden with our minds clear about all the problems that are going on in the world, and we're concentrating on what we're going to grow, how we're going to provide for our families. Again, thank you and have a blessed day.